Tatiana Dashkova is a researcher of Soviet visual culture with a PhD in philology, and she's associate professor at the Russian State University of Humanities and Higher School of Economics Research University, and she is the author of a lot of publications, including her articles in Fashion Theory Russia and in Новое литературное обозрение journal, which also belongs to the big family of the New Literary Observer Publishing House. And she has appeared as an expert on TV programs, also them. And Tatiana will talk today on Carnival of Leaders, political dressing up in the Cinema of Perestroika and the 90s. So we are somehow continuing the topic of dressing up, but in a different context.
Я благодарю за приглашение на эту конференцию. Мне очень радостно здесь присутствовать. Вот. И сейчас у нас после такого чудесного доклада Маргариты Борисовны начнем совсем другое время. Мы будем говорить о 1980-х, 90-х годах, то есть о конце 80-х и 90-х годах.
Early 1990s. This is known in Russian as Perestroika, translated word by word, reshifting. So my report will be about this redressing of the leaders in the films of that period. First of all, this is connected with the topic that in this period, towards this period, really, there is a lot of interest. You know, the 90s nowadays are in the limelight of attention, and I believe this is connected with the fact that we're interested in shifting situations, and you know, the time is accelerating, events are accelerating. We're also interested in times of changes. What also strikes us when we look back at the films of that period, it's total freedom. Freedom that is inherent in these films. It's There's a play by Viktor Kovke, a play which is called Black Person, about Stalin and Beria, and people for the first time mock this, let's say, previously tragic events. They were seen only tragically, but now these are mocked. The next one is a parody by Mikhail Zoshenko, the parody groups, because there's a funny parody company team, and these are just pop performances, let's say, parodies for Soviet people. And the next one is a show called Kukli, translated as Dolls, from 2002 until 2002. And what was remarkable for today is that there were parodies of the authorities, the leadership, as well as the understanding of the actual relevant events, such as like Chechnya, wars in Chechnya within Russia, and very interesting, bitter, vicious, malignant, and sometimes strong parodies. And also we will be talking about the film. The first film that was made before Perestroika, it's a film called Atonement. It was only shown in 1986 after the Union of Cinematographers gathered together and decided to make sure this is released. This is a bit grotesque, weird grotesque. I would even say horrible grotesque. That is to say, the collective image of a dictator, of the leader. Varlam Aramidze is the main character. It's a Hitler-Beria. And he behaves as a clown. That is to say, dressed up, he jumps from a window. There are certain elements like this. He sings opera and aria. So this is a new paradigm that is set. The next film is also something that is signatory. It's called The Path of Dragon. Evgeny Schwartz wrote the play Dragon. So a dragon, a three-faced dragon, three totalitarian heads of a dragon. And in this movie, we already see a contemporary plot where the dragon is killed, and there is a Bürgermeister, the man, who mimics and does a parody of many different Soviet leaders. You see on top Gorbachev, who is helping the cleaning ladies clean up. Below it's Brezhnev with all of the awards on his jacket. Here he's like Khrushchev. And just to clarify the context, certain films where this is like parody and satirical, and in this vein we see these leaders. And now let's look at the material per se. The first film is called Let Devil Be With Us, 92. This is a plot where Stalin is resurrected. This is Stalin. This is not dressing up, it's just resurrecting real Stalin. That is to say, in 1953 with Beria, they decide to insert anabiosis, and he actually opens up his eyes, resurrects in Odessa in 1990, when there is a festival of humor. And he starts walking around Odessa. And he walks with a character embodied by the artist Kharatyan, actor Kharatyan, and they walk around Odessa, they go to different places, and what strikes me most in this film is the reaction of people and organizations to Stalin's resurrection. This, that's how they recognize him, and a new strategy of behavior connected with his manifestation, appearance. People immediately upon seeing that Stalin is there, people start panicking and they start buying everything from the shelves of the shops. This is really striking. You cannot see it very well, but resurrected Stalin is standing in front of the memorial. He's looking at the stand, and then he takes it and he simply burns it. And the young react very well. They think that he's a media personality, celebrity, so they start taking photos with him. In this case, it's similar to Leonid Sokolov's work about Stalin, in the same style. And the elder generation, and those who used to be officials of the party, they decide that they use his appearance for going back for a revolution towards the past. And periodically, regularly, we see that something happen incredible, and we need to go back to the past, so the officials try to do that. This is a book by Gorbachev. Stalin tries to take over the power. All of this happens in Odessa, a children's circus. This is all live. Everything is ready. The portraits are handed over, but they fail to do so. Stalin is put into a car and taken away into an asylum, or we don't know exactly, and the officials are deeply unhappy and upset because they really believed that it was him. They say, no, what matters is that this was a chance to go back to past. Next film by Leonid Gaidai, which is called It Rains on Brighton Beach, 1992. This is the beginning of the 1990s, collapse of the USSR and of the Cold War. And the KGB and other special war forces, they are friends. There are this Russian hospitality of nude girls, food, and sauna, Russian sauna, and then they're wearing military uniform. So the following happens during the conversation between Gorbachev, who is also, you see, dressed up with the president of the US. A person from Odessa Mafia interrupts the conversation. He says, I need to talk, and I understand that the Mafia is no longer restricting itself, which is why they send a Russian agent, which is again Kharatyan, and first of all, he sells the military uniform to be able to have the money to live in the USA. What an agent this is. Okay, I'm talking about the dressed up people. This is the head of Mafia. Head of Mafia constantly changes the clothes. In KGB, we have information where this is, Hitler, Napoleon, Peter I, Saddam Hussein, and Othello. So this person who has many characters, many faces, needs to be captured and detained. Our agent would be doing this. And we see different phenomena of this multifaceted mafioso. Here he's in the image of Lenin. And what strikes me most is that the people with whom he works react to him as if he's really Lenin. That is to say, they are, all happy and inspired. When he's telling, everyone is so tense, everyone is horrified. There's a lot of tension in the air. When it's Brezhnev, they're just relaxed, it's boring for them. Khrushchev, and in the face of he takes his shoe and he's tapping the table with his shoe. It's an image. And then there's someone who drinks with him, of the agent of KGB. This is Uncle Misha, who likes drinking. He is a horrible mafioso who is a failing artist and changes masks and is just trying to gain confidence by doing that. Next is a comedy. It's called Strict Regime, Strict Mode. Maybe this is the most striking one. Here, this is dressing up and embodying the leaders. This is a comedy that happens in the colony where it's the most hardened criminals are there. And this is the 100th anniversary of Lenin. So there is a portrait of a criminal, and then there is a portrait of Lenin. And the main character, Viktor Sukharokov, I will not show you the fragment because I will just talk about this. He actually looks at the films Lenin 1918, The Person with a Gun, and he tries to mimic the gestures of Lenin. He embodies Lenin. He understands, he tries to embody Lenin. You can see how he does it. And actually, he's first, in the beginning of the film, he's at the lower step of hierarchy in the prison, a hardened criminal, but he goes up in this hierarchy. He starts getting respect, getting love, and even these who are the guards start admiring and respecting him. And the guards are actually showing a lot of respect, military respect, and then they take away the train and run away because he is embodying Lenin. The next film is Cooperative of Politburo, of the political bureau, and this is again dressing up of Soviet leaders, and people are like with Brezhnev, Khrushchev, Stalin, Chapayev, they dress up like them, and this is a performance. People go to different regions, they perform, and people take photos with them. And the reaction towards each of them is different. People transmit their perception of this character into the actor. For instance, Chapayev, he's loved by everyone, everyone really likes him, the military people, personnel invite him. With Brezhnev, they don't know what to do. Everyone is bored. No one wants to take a photo with him. He is at the back. He is waiting for people to come and take photos with him, but no one is approaching him. Khrushchev, it's a lot of tenderness, fun, sympathy. He's tapping with his shoe on the table, and it's quite a tender perception to him. Stalin, unfortunately cannot see, but it's really striking. He's mirrored, reflected in so many mirrors. This is like from the Citizen Kane quote, because there are 7, 8 mirrors, and there is a reflection everywhere. The reaction towards Stalin is unique. People start complaining about the modern life. They ask for advice. They respect him. They love him. They are afraid of him. These are mostly people from the different regions that are elderly. They are waiting for this strong character to be there, and the actor starts being afraid because he thinks he's taken for real Stalin. He tries to drink vodka, but people say, of course, come in, whatever. People are asking for advice, and this is striking. In the very end, eventually, this is quite tragic, because they are just killed by an attack, and they are so much embodying the characters that dignity, a different relation to themselves comes up. This is a serious film. This is not they start being willing to help others. This is quite a serious film, a Belarusian film, but quite a tragic ending. And our last film is this failure, small failure. Kirill Bulichov, a Russian fantasy writer, wrote it back in the 60s. This is an alternative history. This is dressing up of politicians and trying to mimic revolution. A revolution mimicry that is not going as planned, but you're replaying the revolution in a different light. That is, say the events are different. We see the Winter Castle, Winter Fortress Castle, which is, this is about Hermitage also, and they have to play to enact the red officers of historically Russian red officers, and then of course they have to play this, to enact this. There's also a female battalion, and they are afraid because they really try, keeping this away from the vandals, and the actors are convinced these are serious moral people, and as a result they turn away the events. This is analog with the October by Eisenstein, that for the 10th anniversary of the revolution, this was tried to be made like that. People who have dressed up as Lenin, and this is the same situation. But if Eisenstein manages to do so, here it all fails. So Aurora shoots not to Winter, but to Smolny, the wrong place. Kerensky actually counterattacks with revolutionary masses, and they establish democracy. You will see dressed up Lenin that cannot reach where he needs to go. He does not do the performance. Sverglov cannot do anything because Smolny was shot. Aurora did so. All of this is live on TV. Kerensky, together with the general of Krasnov, they successfully defend the Winter Castle, and they end up as winners. They establish democracy. Voila, you see Kerensky sitting, and he is celebrating the victory by pouring. I'm finishing this up, but I would like to say why this is important, and why this films emerged, how all of this can be interpreted. Of course, this is worshipping of the leaders, of the Soviet leaders, which is also true of this parody of these doppelgangers. So these leaders there is parody. Also the comedy side, that is to say how these characters are recognized. From every newspaper, every wall, they are looking at us. And this is like Orwell, elder brother, big brother. And this is everywhere. So rituality of the Soviet culture is also vividly showcased. Lenin right now is more alive than anyone else. This is a very famous motto, actually. And how people replay history in their mind again. And also the culture addressing the past. People are looking at the past for finding the truth, for finding explanations of real events. And of course, they are saying goodbye to the past with a laughter and a smile on their face.